Some functions require what's known as a callback function to be passed to them as an argument. A callback is a user-defined function that manipulates the data and then passes it back to the main function. Because a callback is normally used only once, it's a good opportunity to use an anonymous function. Let's see how to do that when creating a user-defined sort for an array. The PHP block at the top of the page defines an array called friends. It's actually an array of arrays because each element is an associative array with the elements first and last. This is what's known as a multidimensional array. Then on line 12, the friends array is passed to the PHP sort function. This sorts an array in ascending order, and it takes its argument by reference, so this will automatically sort the friends array. We don't need to capture any result. Then if we scroll down, on line 25, a for each loop goes through the friends array. Each element is treated as friend, and then we display it, but because each array element is also an array, we need to convert it into a string. We do that using the built-in PHP implode function. The first argument to implode is what you want to insert between each array element. This is a string with a single space, and the second argument is the array that you want to deal with. So we're going through each one, and this will join first and last with a space between them. So if we load this page into a browser, it's sorted the array, but it's only used the first names. The last names are in random order. So what we need to do is to create a user-defined sort, and we can do that with the PHP usort function. Let's take a look at the definition of the usort function in the online documentation. So the usort function sorts an array by values using a user-defined comparison function. And if we look at the description, the first argument to usort is an array. It's preceded by an ampersand, so that means that it's being passed by reference. It'll affect the array itself. And the second argument is callable, value compare func. Callable means that it's going to be a function. So let's scroll down and see what this function needs to do. And it describes it here. It says that the comparison function must return an integer less than, equal to, or greater than 0 if the first argument is considered to be respectively less than, equal to, or greater than the second. And it takes two arguments. And these are elements from the array that you want to sort. So let's get back to the editing program. So instead of using sort on line 12, we'll change that to usort. The first argument is still friends, and the second argument needs to be our callback. And rather than define the comparison function elsewhere and pass the name of the function as the second argument to usort, I'm going to use an anonymous function. If you used anonymous functions in JavaScript, the syntax will be familiar. It's exactly the same as an ordinary function, but it doesn't have a name. So we need the function keyword, and then the two arguments that we need to pass to it. These will be the array elements that we're going to compare, so A and B. Then we need a pair of curly braces for the body of the function, and we need to return a value. PHP 7 has a new operator called the spaceship operator that's designed just for this purpose. It compares two values and returns -1, 0 or 1, depending on whether one is less than the other, they're equal, or one is more than the other. So we'll compare A and the last element, and the spaceship operator is a less than sign, equals, and greater than. And the one that we need to compare it with is B and the last element. So if the last element of A is less than the last element of B, this will return -1. If they're both equal, it will return 0. And if the one on the left-hand side is greater than the one on the right-hand side, it will return +1. Now this works only in PHP 7. So you won't be able to test this if you're running PHP 5. I'll show you in a moment how you can handle this in PHP 5. But let's just save that and then reload in the browser. And this time the array has been sorted according to the last name. So we've gone from black to brown to green to white. But if we look at John Black and Diana Black, well, the last names are in the right order, but the first names are not in the right order. That's no problem. The spaceship operator is capable of comparing arrays. So let's go back to our editing program, and here, instead of just comparing the last element of A with the last element of B, we'll create an array. So we need a square bracket in there, and the second element of our array will be A first. In that closing square bracket, and the same here, we're going to be creating an array. So in there, comma, and B first. So if we save that, go back to the browser, this time Diana Black, John Black, Harry Brown, Hillary Brown, Amanda Green, Paul Green, Jane White, Jim White. Everything is sorted perfectly. So this works just exactly as we want it, but it only works in PHP 7. What if you're using an older version of PHP? Well, let's go back to the editing program, and this has a user-defined function here. It needs to use a conditional statement, if, else if, and else, and it returns the correct values, -1, 1, or 0. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this video using an anonymous function as a callback to sort an array in a user-defined manner. A callback is a function that's passed as an argument to another function to manipulate data on behalf of the main function. Anonymous functions have been part of PHP since version 5.3, so you should be able to use them on any PHP server unless it's running a really old, unsupported version. We also saw how to use the PHP 7 spaceship operator. That's this operator here on line 13. It consists of a less than, equals, and greater than symbol. It compares two values and returns -1 if the first value is less than the second, 0 if they're both the same, and 1 if the first value is greater. Why is it called the spaceship operator? Well, if you use your imagination, I suppose it does look rather like a crude rocket. And it's a lot easier to say than the less than, equal to, or greater than operator.